thank you for joining. Thank you for clicking on. We're going to the remarks from the former president, as it has already begun.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. It's a great honor to have you here. And today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty, right in the middle of a presidential election in which he is losing very badly. This is called election interference and yet another attempt to rig and steal a presidential election. More importantly, it's a political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or communist nation. This day will go down in infamy, and Joe Biden will forever be remembered as not only the most corrupt president in the history of our country, but perhaps even more importantly, the president who, together with a band of his closest thugs, misfits, and Marxists, tried to destroy American democracy. But they will fail, and we will win bigger and better than ever before. Charging a former president of the United States under the Espionage Act of 1917 wasn't meant for this. An act for a crime so heinous that only the death penalty would do, and threatening me with 400 years in prison for possessing my own presidential papers, which just about every other president has done, is one of the most outrageous and vicious legal theories ever put forward in an American court of law. The Espionage Act has been used to go after traitors and spies. It has nothing to do with a former president legally keeping his own documents. As president, the law that applies to this case is not the Espionage Act, but very simply the Presidential Records Act, which is not even mentioned in this ridiculous 44-page indictment. Under the Presidential Records Act, which is civil, not criminal, I had every right to have these documents. The crucial legal precedent is laid out in the most important case ever on this subject, known as the Clinton Socks case. You know what that means? After leaving the White House, Bill Clinton kept 79 audio tapes in his sock drawer. They included discussions of U.S. military involvement in Haiti, discussions of U.S. foreign policy, both defense and offense, against Cuba, recordings of President Clinton's conversations with all of the many foreign leaders at the time. Think of that. Sensitive facts about trade negotiations taken from presidential briefings, discussions with the Secretary of State about conflict in Bosnia, and much, much more. Very big stuff. Not only was Bill Clinton never even considered for criminal prosecution based on the tapes he took, but when he was sued for them, he won the case. Judge Amy Berman Jackson's decision states, under the statutory scheme established by the Presidential Records Act, the decision to segregate personal materials from presidential records is made by the president during the president's term and in the president's sole discretion. You're surprised to hear that, aren't you? Any normal administration, even an opposing one, would consider that to be the end, but not the corrupt Biden administration. The Sox decision, as it's known, also states, quote, the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, does not have the authority to designate material as presidential records. I don't have the authority. NARA does not have the tapes in question, and NARA lacks any right, duty, or means to seize control of them. This is law. The president enjoys unconstrained authority to make decisions regarding the disposal of documents. That's unconstrained to make that decision. Neither the archivist nor Congress has the authority to veto the president's decision. The Presidential Records Act does not confer any mandatory or even discretionary authority on the archivist to classify records. Under the statute, this responsibility is left solely to the President of the United States. Think of that. That's the decision. Think of that. Now, just think of that. In other words, whatever documents the President decides to take with him, he has the right to do so. It's an absolute right. This is the law. And that is something that people have now seen, and it couldn't be more clear. They ought to drop this case immediately because they're destroying the country. And this is why no other president, even those who kept far more documents than I, has ever been even investigated, let alone charged with a crime. Because the sham indictment put forward by the Biden administration included staged photographs of boxes at Mar-a-Lago, many people have asked me why I had these boxes. Why did you want them? The answer, in addition to having every right under the Presidential Records Act, is that these boxes were containing all types of personal belongings, many, many things, shirts and shoes and everything. As can be seen in the picture where someone, not me, I wonder who it might have been, dumped one of the very neatly arranged boxes all over the floor. They were full of newspapers, press clippings, thousands of pictures, thousands and thousands of White House pictures. The White House photographers, some are with us today. They took so many pictures, and we saved all of them, and they were in those boxes. Clothing, memorabilia, and much, much more. I hadn't had a chance to go through all the boxes. It's a long, tedious job. It takes a long time, which I was prepared to do, but I have a very busy life. I've had a very busy life. They make it more busy because you're always fighting. And under the Sox decision,
I'm going to pause here just a second in case you're just joining us. This is the ex-president Donald Trump, after being indicted today, trying to explain why what happened today did not matter, and using the idea that he somehow has a hope chest that is made out of cardboard, and a memorabilia box also made out of cardboard, and that somehow tape recordings from of a private nature by the president equate to showing documents of how to attack North Korea with nuclear weapons to Kid Rock. Now that happened. That wasn't just a comedy bit I did doing the voices of Trump and Kid Rock on Damnation Drive-In. That stuff actually happened. So expect an awful lot of press push back, guffawing, laughing, and mocking from the legal world, because the only people that are going to be buying this are his most diehard supporters. With that being said, let's hear what the rest of the speech the man is going to deliver.
there seemed to be no rush. I wasn't in a rush because that decision was law. The other picture that was so vile, you remember that one? It was angry and corrupt, was the photo staged by the FBI. And those that raided Mar-a-Lago, they were putting documents all over the floor. Remember that famous picture? All over, said confidential, said presidential, said all sorts of things. And it was supposed to be there like it was that way when they raided. It wasn't that way. They put them there, took the picture, and released it illegally to the press. They took my medical records, my passport, my birth certificate, and apologized. They even brought a safecracker. This is a professional safecracker they brought into Mar-a-Lago. And they broke into my safe, and you know what they found? Nothing. There was nothing there. Nothing there. Like zero. According to the Presidential Records Act, which was a big deal, I was supposed to negotiate with NARA, which is exactly what I was doing until Mar-a-Lago was raided by gun-toting FBI agents.
Wait a minute. The the rich guy doesn't have anything at all in his safe. Is that believable? Um, the reason let me repeat it once again. The reason that the FBI raided your place was because you did not give the confidential, top secret military nuclear secret documents back that you took as some kind of looky what I got, uh, and fail to see how dangerous and damaging that is. And I hope the vast majority of the rest of the United States does see how dangerous and damaging that is. I'm going to try to let him finish.
I have security tapes of it. I gave them security tapes of everything. In a flagrant violation of the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which protects the right against unreasonable search and seizure. And Sebastian, you covered very well, I must say. Very well. I'm not the one who thinks I'm above the law. I'm the one that followed the law. I'm the only one. It's Joe Biden and his corrupt Department of Injustice who think they are above the law. Never before have the two standards of justice in our country been more starkly revealed. Joe Biden had troves of classified documents from his time as vice president and even as a senator, which was completely and totally illegal. In fact, other senators heard about it. Dick Durbin heard about it. You have to see his response. There's no way that's totally illegal. Took him as a senator out of a skiff. They were shocked when they found out. They actually thought it was impossible to do. Biden sent 1,850 boxes to the University of Delaware, making the search very, very difficult for anybody. And he refuses to give them up, and he refuses to let people even look at them. And then they say how he's behaving so nicely.
Okay, sorry about that. I've got to actually physically click on the unmute button. It okay. This guy is saying that Joe Biden has classified documents. Yes, of course he does. He's the president of the United States. Saying he had classified documents from all the way back from when he was a senator. He found out he had classified documents, and you know what he did? He turned them in. Mike Pence found out he had classified documents. You know what he did? He turned them in. Donald Trump, you did not turn them in, even after being court ordered to do so. That's why your compound was raided. Okay? There's a big difference between finding out you have documents and turning them in and deciding you don't have to because you're above the law. Accuse the other side of that which you are doing. It was one of Hitler's main tools in propaganda. Oh, I hope I can get through this.
Many of Biden's classified documents were in Chinatown, D.C., Chinatown, which is shocking considering his family received.
That's it's where the law offices were. And he's using China like China's Chinatown, like Chinese Americans are automatically bad. Let's not let that little inference slide.
Received so much money from China. I wonder how many times the friends of ours from China review those documents. Chinatown, D.C.
By the way, who's funding the January 6th protesters, those that are trying to get the January 6 people released? Who's funding them? Follow the money.
Others were unsecured at his so-called Penn Biden Center in Washington.
Okay, let's one final thing here. Maybe not, probably not, because I've got a migraine headache. This guy gives me a massive pain. Let's say everything you're saying is true. All of this has been true about Clinton. All of this has been true about Biden. All this has been true about Pence. Just because they haven't been caught yet and you have, does not make it untrue about you. It just makes you look like you have a different set of rules for yourself than everyone else should for themselves. And you know what? That's not really any big surprise. That's no big secret at all. That's not a revelation. We've known that about you since well before the Apprentice days. Keep in mind, this guy's nothing but a glorified Barnum and Bailey that somehow Republicans decided he would. And the only way he got elected is because Democrats ran Hillary Clinton. And Democrats are sitting back going, yeah, make Trump your nominee, because Trump is the only one Joe Biden can beat, you freaking maroons.
Which paid Biden approximately $1 million a year. The money supposedly coming from China and still other classified documents were strewn all over his garage floor, where his now famous Corvette is stored. He's so proud of that car. There was no security and the door was left open most of the time. It was open. All of those classified documents, all of those documents.
Wait a minute. You got classified documents in your crap house, and you have a copier, because your bathroom is like as big as small houses, so that's why I call it a crap house. And you got a full size copier in there as well. Dude, your brain is going to explode trying to keep up with the lies necessary to try to justify what 85% of the country is now going, man. Even people that haven't read the indictment, even people that haven't read it yet have seen enough stuff to go, wait a minute, this is bad. Yeah, this is really bad. This is a whole lot different than the first one in New York, okay, about hush money and bribes. This is so much worse, and the one yet to come is going to be even more worse, so buckle up, buttercups.
Strewn all over the floor, piled up like junk. Unlike me, who had absolute declassification authority as president, Joe Biden as vice president had no authority to declassify and no right to possess the documents. He had no right. Instead of falling under the Presidential Records Act, Biden's actions fell under a much stricter Federal Records Act, which has very, very tough criminal penalties. Yet nothing happens to Crooked Joe. Nothing happened. Have you heard anything about the big search for his
I'm
documents?
glad they finally got that dang buzz stopped on their audio.
No, only me. Most infamously of all, Hillary Clinton set up an illegal private server in her basement. You never heard this story. With the deliberate intention of violating public information laws so she could hide.
Again, even if she did, there've been investigations. There've been hearings. They found out that she did not do. Even the FBI said, it may have been. I don't remember the exact adjective they used, but it wasn't right. What she did wasn't right, but it also wasn't malicious and didn't put the country at risk. This guy showed attack plans to Kid Rock. Okay, if any of you run into anybody that goes, oh no, he didn't do nothing wrong, all you got to say is he showed attack plans to Kid Rock. And if you don't think that's bad, Kid Rock thought it was bad.
Her pay for play scandals at the Clinton foundations or whatever. Hillary stored vast quantities of classified and sensitive information on her illicit server. Some of it happened to leak. It leaked into Anthony Weiner's computer. Remember Anthony Weiner? Into his computer. You don't want to be on his computer. And all of it was illegal because thankfully...
Okay, Anthony Weiner, for those that don't remember, or he resigned because of a sex scandal, something that many Republicans, including those charged with pedophilia, don't have the decency to do.
She was never president. She didn't have the powers to declassify. Thank you. Thank you. She didn't have the powers to declassify. It's a big difference, and neither did Joe. Joe didn't. Do you mind?
There's a difference between there's such a difference between classified, between top secret, between for set eyes only, and all this guy's doing is muddying the waters to keep his people agitated. If they weren't so dangerous, I wouldn't care.
Have a drink.
Because he will win. He will win the Republican nomination, and he will lose the general election. Joe Biden will be president for 4 more years. I don't necessarily know as I want that, and I know the Democrats are not going to do anything about putting anybody else in there. So that's why all of this is really important, because this is what it's going to come down to. These two again. And I can tell you, independent voters like myself, the more we see of this turd, the more we want to flush each and every Republican down the toilet.
It's a little bit cooler than it was, but it's pretty hot out here. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Great birthday.
Tomorrow is Flag Day in the United States of America, ironically. Tomorrow is also his birthday, ironically.
Nice birthday, isn't it?
Nice birthday. And you smell like one.
They were saying happy birthday. I was with
Oh, is that what they were doing? It
I
was
was with Eric
happy
and Laura, the
birthday.
kids. Happy birthday, Grandpa. Happy. And I said, oh, great. I just got charged with, they want 400 years approximately. If you add them all up,
Yeah, laugh about it. It's
a
great.
fake 400 years. Oh, thank you, darling. That's so nice. It's a wonderful birthday. We're going to make it into the greatest birthday of all. We'll make it into the greatest.
By the way, before I forget, G. Abbott of Back in the Basement, starring G. Abbott. G. Abbott will be on after we're done here. I'm not sure what time she's coming on. She'll probably start before we're done here. But once we get done here, head over to Back in the Basement with G. Abbott.
When caught, Hillary then deleted and acid washed. Nobody does that because of the expense, but it's pretty conclusive. 33,000 emails in defiance of a congressional subpoena already launched. The subpoena was there, and she.
Once again, she probably did a whole bunch of stuff illegally. I'm not going to defend her, but that doesn't discount what you have done and what you continue to do to this country and to many of the people following you. It is a sad day. It's a sad day that that this had to happen,
Decided to
and it's all because
delete,
of
acid wash, and then smash and destroy
acid wash is what you do to jeans.
her cell phones with a hammer. And then they say, I participated in obstruction? Now think of it. That's called obstruction. There's never been obstruction as grave as that. She did this in the face of everything, and yet nobody did anything about it.
They did a lot about it. Once again, there were hour upon hour of televised hearings about it, and there was not enough evidence to charge her. With you, clown, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence, including you yourself on tape saying this stuff is secret. I should have declassified it when I was president, but I didn't. It's still secret, and you shouldn't see it. You maroon.
The FBI and the DOJ protected her, did not issue subpoenas, did not use a grand jury, did not execute search warrants, and then the corrupt head of the FBI,
They don't have to do search warrants when you turn over everything.
James Comey declared no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case. Can you believe it? And that was just one of many items. Hillary Clinton broke the law, and she didn't get indicted. Joe
Comey was a Republican, by the way.
Biden broke the law, and in many other ways we're finding out, and so far has not gotten indicted. I did everything right, and they indicted me.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
But you know, we're serving a great example in the case of Bill Clinton's national security advisor. Remember that? Sandy Berger. He was caught stealing classified documents from the National Archives, very big ones, very important ones, by stuffing them in his pants. That's pretty. And putting them also in his socks. And he destroyed them and cut the tape with scissors, cut them all up. What Berger did was highly illegal, but he was given nothing, no jail time, nothing happened. There are countless other examples. Bill Clinton, who I happen to like, hard to believe, right? Before I did this,
Is he running against the Clintons once again? If I were, you'll notice there's not this overwhelming great cheering and applause. You're hearing smatterings. The people watching this are just as confused as most of us are. They're there wanting him to ask them to give them money to run a campaign, and instead he is He's just digging a deeper hole for himself with prosecutors on the federal level, on the state level in New York, on the state level in Georgia. Um, and he's really hurting our country.
He was actually quite friendly with him. Nice guy. They should have used him a little bit more as an advisor on the 2016 election. He said, you know, you better get to Wisconsin, you're going to lose. No, we're not. You better get to Michigan, you're going to lose. No, we're not. They did. Bill Clinton lost the nuclear codes, and absolutely nothing was done about it. He lost the nuclear codes. The George W. Bush White House lost 22 million.
Okay, so what they're going to go, he's going to go back here and tell all these people in this room that have been standing there that are waiting to give him money, he's going to tell them everything that every other president has ever done that is stupid, in hopes that they forget what he's done. And while a lot of these people may want to have access to power, a lot of them aren't stupid.
Million emails, a record. NARA cannot assure complete transfer of any of the Bush records. A document shredding truck was spotted on the way to Dick Cheney's house. Can you imagine? Hillary Clinton took hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of furniture, china, flatware, rugs, and more from the White House, and she wasn't prosecuted. How about that one? She took the furniture and the china. How about if Trump did that? You think Trump would have a little problem? The horrific violations of my rights by crooked Joe Biden's weaponized Department of Injustice are unthinkable. It's unthinkable what's happened. So bad for our country. Democrats all, they lawlessly pierced my attorney-client privilege with lawyers. What they did to lawyers, what they have done to our lawyers.
Democrats didn't do any of this, by the way. All the people testifying against him, all the people speaking against him are Republicans. A lot of the judges involved were appointed by him. Remember what Chris Christie said? Chris Christie told people some truth. He said maybe Republicans ought to quit blaming how bad our candidates are on everybody else, and just acknowledge that we got losers. Losers. What actually he said, 3-time loser. Something to think about.
All of our lawyers, they've done things that were absolutely horrible and unthinkable. The leaking has been
By the way, this guy can't get a quality federal lawyer in Florida because he has a history of not paying lawyers.
unbelievable and highly
As
illegal.
well as not paying construction workers, well as not paying contractors, as well as not paying architects and designers. This guy has a history of doing this to people, then declaring bankruptcy and walking off with the laundered money. The title of tonight's episode is Trump's having an after party, and we see he is. You know who else had after parties after indictments? Dillinger, Al Capone, the Gottis.
They leak. We've learned more from the Washington Post, New York Times, about the DOJ's boxes hoax. It's a boxes hoax. Than from prosecutors themselves. We want to read about it. You pick up the Washington Post, which is not doing well, or you pick up the New York Times. But they'll do better now because of these things. You know, this is the only way they survive, but they'll end up dying. But it's not supposed to be that way. We don't want to learn from the Times.
People
we don't
aren't
want to
into
learn
this,
from
Don.
leaks. We want to learn from the people we're supposed to learn from. It's like a leaking sieve in Washington. But we learned nothing about the Biden bribery scheme or special counsel Robert Hur's investigation. Robert Hur is doing the Biden investigation. He's a very respected, very nice person. Very nice person. Mine's not such a nice person. Mine's a deranged lunatic, which are many times the magnitude of ours in both number and severity.
Okay, I'm going to pause it here for just a second because this just popped into my mind. One of the people I communicated with today said that explained what it looked like in the courtroom today, and I was told. Actually, I'm going to pop off of this for just a second. I was told that Jack Smith just sat and stared straight at Trump during the whole time. He gave him the Sigma stare. That probably doesn't mean anything to some of you, but he stared him down. And again, I'm going to try to I'm going to try to get through what this clown has to say. I respect the office of the presidency. I have absolutely no respect for this clown.
That's the prosecutor that they gave. He has found nothing. He totally exonerated Mike Pence. I'm happy about that. Mike did nothing wrong, but he happened to have classified documents in his house. But they
And he gave them back.
exonerated him. And
oh, okay. Video is no longer available. That's probably just as well. That's that's probably a perfect place for me to stop. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and do a quick wrap up here of what else is going on. What else is going on? Breaking news. Associated Press, Trump pleads not guilty to federal charges. CNN, judge allows E. Jean Carroll to amend her defamation lawsuit to seek more damages from Trump. Politico, Putin admits Russia doesn't have enough weapons and drones. The New York Times, what we know about the I-95 collapse in Philadelphia. What we know about that is that a tanker caught on fire, and the fire was so intense it caused the collapse of a section of both sides. The one side visibly collapsed, the other side damaged so much it's going to have to be brought down, and will increase the length of time of repair. And those in the far right that were claiming this was the first act of the Civil War, lunatic fringe. From The Guardian, Donald Trump indictment, a guide to everyone mentioned in the charges. And CNN, once again, Biden's press secretary violated the Hatch Act, a watchdog group says. So we'll see if anything comes out of that. And those that watch know that when I'm on this computer, I always have trouble with the Twitter bookmarks. I get them all loaded, and then I go to, and they're not there. I go to play them, and they are not there. I will shut it down again, and actually here. There we go. I'll shut it down and pull it back up, and because there are yay, okay, because there are some things here in the bookmarks I want to talk about. There were two things that happened today at the area surrounding the courthouse that were noteworthy, were of note. The first one comes from Ed TV Now from Twitter, and this is Oreo Express. Many of you know Oreo Express, and this is Anarchy Princess. Oreo Express was trying to serve some sort of paper, legal documents presumed, and also presumed a restraining order or a protective order. Again, this footage from Ed TV Now. That happened, as you can see, just outside the courthouse where Donald Trump was being arraigned. This comes from BNO News, and hold on a second. Comes from BNO News.
People rushing towards one.
I'm trying to get it to requeue, but it's not going to. All right, you're going to see somebody. You're going to see somebody run in front of the motorcade.
They may have slowed down, given them away. For chaotic scenes. Police really outnumbered here, doing their best. Now they're holding people back. People running after one of the vehicles.
It's just insane. It's just absolutely insane. It's just amazing that nothing happened today. The reason nothing happened today, because a lot of people talk a lot online and don't actually show up. Thankfully for that, because it was set up today to be a disaster. It was set up to where if there had been a large number of two groups of relatively large number of competitive ideas, it could have been disaster the way it was set up today. You see at the end, people just rushing everywhere, trying to get out to touch one of the vehicles in the motorcade.
Not the scenes that you would associate with someone who's just had to plead not guilty of the United States. I wonder if we'll get away.
There you see the guy that ran out in front of the vehicle. If you've watched some of this coverage, any of the coverage, you've seen him before. He's dressed in black and white stripes like a prisoner and has a sign that says "Lock him up." That's what most of the people were there for today. They were there to try to get on video. There weren't a whole lot of actual real protesters, if you will, from either side.
Armed officers in some of these vehicles. The people rushing towards one of the vehicles. They may have slowed down, given them away. For chaotic scenes. Police really outnumbered here, doing their best. Now they're holding people back. People running after one of the vehicles. Again, not the scenes that you would associate with some.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So, again, thank you very much for clicking on here this evening. I apologize for not being able to get all the way through the Trump thing. I got as far as I could, and when it went unavailable, I thought I took that as a sign, and it's enough. Really, I've had a migraine all day. Oh, and also I wanted to let you know why I kept backing up the start. It was because he kept backing up the start. It was going to be at 8 o'clock. And they said, okay, he's going to be there at 8:30. And then they said, no, he's not going to be there at 8:45. He got there right at 8:45, and we caught the beginning of it. So thank you all. We will be back. I'll be back Thursday night. And don't know if we'll have Lori with us or not. Lori's working a lot, and good on her, and that ought to be taking priorities, and it does for responsible people like her. So I don't know if she's going to be on or not. I know I will be back here Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and saying 8 o'clock right now. Sometime between 8 and 10. It just all depends how things play out. Tonight, as soon as I'm off here, head over to Back in the Basement, G. Abbott's site, her channel, Back in the Basement. And let's see, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., it will be 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be Damnation Drive-In. So check them out. Again, I'll be back Thursday night, sometime between 8 and 10. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like if you would, please. And so you'll know when we'll be back on. Again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for clicking on. Thanks for hanging out. And we will do it all again Thursday night. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you from the Most High, His Son Christ Jesus, the power of the Holy Spirit. Positive vibrations to each and every one of you. Love. Peace. Live long and prosper. It's a dark world. Try to be a light. See you next.